It's been 4.5 months since this podcast was launched. Today is episode 15. Today, I'm not going to talk about what I normally do in my episodes. I'm going to talk about myself, who I am, why this started, and why it's important that I keep doing this. My name is Shannon, and this is my story. For the longest time, I would hope and pray that things would change and be better. I would pray every night, asking God to transform my life, to open doors, to make things work out. I was faithful in my prayers. I showed up. I believed, but nothing changed. And then I found a verse that changed everything. James 2, verse 17. Faith without works is dead. I read that verse and something clicked. I realized I had been doing it all wrong. I was praying but never taking action. I was hoping but never working. I was waiting for God to do it all when He was waiting for me to do my part. That realization was the beginning of everything that follows in this story. Last August, someone came into my life and everything changed. I can't overstate how much this person impacted me. They didn't just change my circumstances, they changed me. They helped me get closer to God. They taught me how to love myself. They taught me, they showed me what self confidence actually looks like, helped me set standards for myself, not just in my work, but in my life, in my relationships, in everything. And with that person in my life, I finally understood what James 2 verse 17 really meant. I started to pray differently. I started to take action. I started to work towards the things I was praying for. I started to combine faith with works. I'm so thankful and grateful for that person God put in my life because they didn't just help me change, they helped me see who I could become. And that's when I started to get clear on my purpose. That's when I started to understand what I actually wanted to achieve. For years, I had this dream. I I wanted to have my own thing. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to build something that was mine. But before this realization, I was part of a company for 5 years and it didn't work out. At that time, I didn't understand why. I just thought maybe I wasn't cut out for it. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I should accept a normal job and move on. But now I know the real reason. My purpose is bigger than that. My calling is bigger than that. I wasn't meant to be part of someone else's vision. I was meant to build my own. Proverbs 23 verse 7 says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. I had been thinking small. I had been thinking limited. I had been thinking about fitting into someone else's box. But once I changed my thinking, everything changed. I realized that being an entrepreneur wasn't just about making money or building a business. It was about freedom. It was about creating something that mattered. It was about using my gift to serve others and build something meaningful. And I knew that to be a successful entrepreneur, I needed one thing above else. I needed to be able to speak freely freely with everyone. I needed to be confident in my ability to communicate. I needed to have I needed to be able to have conversations without fear. But here's the thing: I wasn't that person. I was soft spoken. I was shy. I couldn't hold a conversation to save my life. I would get nervous. I would stumble over words. I would retreat into myself. So I made a decision that scared me, a decision that pushed me way outside my comfort zone. I decided to start posting regularly on YouTube, not for the views, not for the likes, not for the followers, but to be confident in my ability to converse. I wanted to force myself to get comfortable in speaking, wanted to push through the fear. And let me tell you, it was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever done. Every single day, I had to show up and put myself out there. Every single day, I had to be vulnerable. Every single day, I had to face my fear of judgment, my fear of being seen, my fear of falling, of failing. But something incredible happened. The more I posted, the more comfortable I became, the more I put myself out there, the more confidence I got, the more I was willing to be vulnerable, the more I grew. I learned something profound during that time. Growth is uncomfortable and it's okay to be vulnerable. In fact, vulnerability is where real growth happens. Matthew 17, verse 20 says, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say this to the mountain, move from here, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. I didn't have big faith. I had mustard seed faith, but I had faith. And I took action, and mountains started to move. Posting daily on YouTube changed me. It made me more confident, made me more articulate, it made me more willing to be seen, and it prepared me for what came next. Starting a podcast was always on my mind, even before I started posting on YouTube. I knew I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to have conversations that mattered. I knew I wanted to share ideas that could transform people's lives. But I kept procrastinating. I kept contemplating. I kept asking myself, should I start it? Should I wait? Should I do it later? I delayed it. I told myself I would start when I had a better environment, when I had better conditions, and everything was perfect and I was ready. But here's the truth, I was never going to be ready. The old version of me would have delayed forever. Old version of me would have found 1,000 reasons to wait. But I had changed. I had grown. I had learned that faith without works is dead. So I made a decision. I decided to start anyway. I decided to commit to growth. I decided to take action even when I was afraid. Second Timothy 1 verse 7 says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. I was afraid, I was terrified, but I knew that fear was not from God. So I pushed through it. I started the podcast anyway. And here we are, 50 episodes later, 4.5 months of showing up, 16 weeks sharing ideas, 16 weeks of being vulnerable and authentic and real. Over these 50 episodes, I've learned so much. A lot of that learning comes from what I consume. I listen to a lot of podcasts, I read a lot of books. I'm constantly shaping my mind, constantly learning, constantly growing. Right now, I'm reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill for the second time. And also, I'm reading Be What You Wish by Neville Goddard. And there's one thing that's common that, and there's one thing that's a common theme across these books and also the Bible. What you believe, you become. That's it. That's the core principle. Your beliefs shape your reality. Your thoughts create your life. What you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself, what you visualize for yourself, that's what you become. Romans 8, verse 18 says, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. I believe in a glory that's coming. I believe in a future that's bigger than my present circumstances. And that belief is shaping who I'm becoming. The titles of all my podcasts are reflections of what I've learned throughout this process. Why not? Sleep is the cousin of death. Best question to why. These aren't random titles. They are principles that I'm living by. They are truths that I'm discovering and sharing with you. Right now, I'm working on my AI company. I'm in the client reach out phase. This is the phase where I'm connecting to people who need what I'm building. This is where I'm turning my vision into reality. And I also have an ebook linked to this podcast. This ebook is my purpose. It's my way of serving you. It's my way of sharing what I've learned so that you can apply it to your life. My goals are clear. Very few people know about them. They probably look delusional to anyone who hears them. But I know I'm going to make it happen. I know because I believe in it. I know it because I'm taking action. I know it because faith without works is dead and I am doing the work. Philippians 4 verse 13 says, I can do all things through him who gives me strength. That's my foundation. That's my belief. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Not through my own power, not through my own ability, but through him. I don't have all the answers. I don't have it all figured out. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still pushing through fear and discomfort. But I'm awake, I'm taking action, I'm combining faith with works, and I'm building something that matters. You might be wondering why I'm telling you all this, why I'm being so vulnerable, why I'm sharing my story on episode 15. It's because I want you to see yourself in my story. I want you to recognize that if I can do it, you can do it too. I want you to understand that transformation is possible, that growth is possible, that your dreams are possible. For the longest time, I was stuck. I was hoping and praying, but not taking action. I was waiting for things to change instead of changing them for myself. I was limited by my own beliefs about what was possible. Then I learned James 2:17. Faith without works is dead, and that changed everything. Maybe you're in that place right now. Maybe you're hoping and praying, but not taking action. Maybe you're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, the perfect circumstances. Maybe you're afraid to start. And I'm telling you, start anyway. Start now. Start even if you're afraid. Start even if you're not ready. Start even if you don't have it figured it out. Start even if you don't have it all figured out. There's a saying, don't do it after you figure it out. Figure it out while doing it. It's also a title of my podcast. This podcast exists for one reason, to help you become the best version of yourself, to help you discover your purpose, to help you take action towards your dreams, to help you combine faith with works. I'm sharing my story because I want you to know that transformation is real. It's not some fantasy. It's not some pipe dream. It's real and it's possible for you. My name is Sharon, and 50 episodes ago, I decided to start this podcast because I believed in something bigger than myself. I believed that my story could help you find your story. I believed that my journey could inspire your journey. And I'm grateful for every one of you who has listened, who has shared, who has been part of this community. As we move forward, I want you to remember this. What you believe will become. Faith without works is dead. Growth is uncomfortable. And it's okay to be vulnerable. The purpose is bigger than your circumstances. And you have everything you need to make it happen. Thank you for being part of the Rice Code. Thank you for being part of my journey. And I can't wait to see what you become. This is Built Not Felt by the Rice Code. I'll see you all in the next episode.